What's up, YouTube? We are back here at MCTV. If you are new to the channel, please give us a like and subscribe so we can continue to reach and teach. Today, we are bringing you the 4-part series of the story of the late Reginald F. Lewis, corporate attorney, Harvard Law School grad, billion-dollar deal negotiator, philanthropist, community activist. This is a black man that was born in the 40s and became one of the richest men in the United States with one transaction. Let's get to it.
So to you I say, thank you again for allowing us to share the story. And I'll turn it over to the one who knows him better than anyone else, Mrs. Loida Nicholas Lewis.
I think we'll have to start from the beginning. When he was born in Baltimore, his mother and father separated when he was 5. They could not get along. And so his mother brought him back home to her mother and father, his grandparents. And that night, when he was coming in, 5 years old, there was a whole commotion in the household. Why? Because the grandpa and grandma, his grandfather and grandmother, had already 10 children. Mrs. Fugit was the first one who had a child at 17. At that time, she was 21. That's right? 17 plus 5, 22. She was 22. And so everybody was, what's this? And Mr. Lewis, then he was called Reggie, was going up the steps, being brought to the bedroom. He heard his grandfather curse. Bleep, bleep, bleep. You know what that means. What? Another mouse to feed? And as he was going up, he heard his mother say, "Don't worry, Dad, we pay our way." And the next morning when he woke up, "Where's Mommy?" She was out working. So first lesson when he was 5 years old, you take care of yourself. We pay our way. Okay? Don't depend on handouts. Don't depend on somebody else. We depend on ourselves. And she was out working. So that's the first lesson. Second, as you saw on parts of the television, during his, those 5 years were under his grandmother and grandfather's household. His grandfather was a head waiter in a private club, a private Jewish club. His grandmother would clean white people's homes. And because no babies, she is the babysitter, she would bring him while she was going to clean. And at one time, maybe he was 6 years old, not yet going to school, he heard the white woman whose house was being cleaned, "Why don't you ask your grandson to help you?" And he heard his grandmother say, "No, he is special." And so from the very start, he was given a sense of identity, that he's special, he's going to do something good. Okay, I think that formed him. And then, when he was around 7 or 8, he asked one of his aunts, "Why did my mother leave my father?" And he was told, because he was not ambitious enough. And so in his mind, while he was young, "I'll be sure when I grow up, no woman will leave me because I'm not ambitious enough." So those are little things as he was growing up, was impressed in his mind. And the family, 10 children, 10 sons and daughters, all adults, all worked. They were not on welfare. They all worked. So when he was 10 years old, his mother remarried. The father, Butch Fugit, his name is Gene Fugit, was very, very loving, but not loving that he is forcing himself. He was the perfect stepfather. In fact, my husband never called him stepfather. He was a father to him and was encouraging always. He wanted to be a baseball player. Okay, so his stepfather, his Butch, put a ball on a tree so that every afternoon after school, he could hit that ball, always at it, setting a goal and going after it. At 10, he wanted to have his own income. And so he said, I'm going to deliver the Afro-American newspaper twice a week, every Friday and Tuesday, or Monday probably. So he would go after school, he would deliver the newspaper. At around 12 years old, he was eligible to go to camp, YMCA. He said, I don't want to go. Who will take care of delivering my papers? And his mother said, don't worry, I'll take care of it. So he was at camp for 2 weeks. He would beat the baby, the first son or first brother of Reginald Lewis. At the end of 2 weeks, he came back, and you saw the newspaper, saw the video. He said, where's my money? The first thing she asked. So what is that again? Very conscious of finances, all right? It's not like, I earned this, I owe it. Therefore, where's my money? And the mother said, do you mean your money? I deliver the paper, I get the money. What? I'm going to sue you. Even at 12, he already knew his rights. And so Butch heard this and said, what's this quarrel? Well, I deliver the papers, I get the money, and now he's asking for it. No, give it to him. And so the mother said, Reg, this is one lesson you should know. When you're making a contract, set the terms up front. So at 12, he was already learning, how do you transact business? You don't just assume that they will pay you. Set it up front. 12 years old, all those lessons. And also, anything that he has set his mind to, he worked on it. He was, during the summer, because his grandfather was a head waiter in a private club, okay? He would go there to work. And what was his father's rule to him? Look, anytime you want to eat something, let me know, I'll pay for it. No stealing. In other words, very high code of ethics. No lying, no stealing, no cheating. And do your work. You heard it also. Do your work, you won't be on the breadline. So all of these values helped him, move along. He did not have enough money. His parents did not have enough money to send him to college, but he was a football player. What do you call it now when you throw the ball?
Quarterback.
He was the quarterback in Dunbar High School, a public high school. And again, this was a first. He worked his team so well because they were going to fight for the first time an integrated game between Polytechnic, which is all white, and Dunbar High School, which is all black. And so he worked his team very well. And one of his teammates who is still, I met him, Tiger Davis, said, when Reggie look at us in our eyes, we know he means business and we have to perform. And so he was already a leader. You will rise to the level of expectation. So for your professors, for your parents, or for you yourself, set your standard high, because that's where you're supposed to go. And in that game, in that first game, they murdered their Polytechnic. Why? Because they worked hard. Mr. Lewis worked them hard. So all of these lessons are lessons that enabled him to move step by step. You always talk about $1 billion deal, but he said, I'm not an overnight success. Okay? He worked these things. The most important is that he understood in order to be fighting in the arena of America, you've got to have credentials. And so in 1965, when the Rockefeller Foundation said, and Harvard Law School agreed, that if there are no African Americans in corporate America doing merger and acquisition, then the economic gap between the white and the black community will be farther away. And so in 1965, all African American colleges and universities, no, black historically black colleges and universities were asked, send us your top 4 or 5 students to a summer program at Harvard Law School for 8 weeks so that they will be exposed to corporate law, they will be exposed to merger and acquisition, and things that normally a black lawyer do not go, which is, there were black lawyers, but they do domestic, nothing wrong with that, divorce law, criminal law, but the real money is in corporate law. And so, Mr. Lewis was not supposed to be accepted because he was already senior. It was open only to sophomore and junior so that they can go back and talk about it. But he knew that Harvard Law School was his key to this corporate world. And he hounded the professor every day to say, look, this is what I have done. Look, my grades here have improved and everything. And so he was the last person, the 5th, allowed by Virginia State University to enter. And so he was at Harvard Law School. He said, in these 8 weeks, I will stand on my head. What does that mean? I will just study the lesson well. I am going to really participate well and be very, very alert and participating, that they will say, I'm good. And true enough, after 8 weeks, the professor, Frank Sanders, told him, Reg, if you want to enter the class of 68 at Harvard Law School, you're in. And that's why he's the only person in the entire history of Harvard Law School who was accepted without applying, without playing LSAT, and without paying the fee. Wow. Yes. A big hand for Reginald Lewis. So I'm just giving you that it was not, as he always said, there was a poem by Langston Hughes, Climbing a Crystal Stairs, okay? That he was not something that jumped off, suddenly $1 billion. He worked on it every day. He worked on it every year. He worked on it in every status in life. And so for you as students, okay, you don't know yet maybe where you're going to go, or maybe you do, okay? Just plan it, dream it, as Bobby Brown said, you dream. Because when I got married to him, we were in an apartment that's called Railroad in New York. Railroad means the bedroom, the entrance, the little room, and the bathroom are all one. And so he would take a shower while I'm cooking. I could see the bathroom where it is. And when he comes out after a long, long shower, he would shower maybe for an hour. He would come out and say, Loida, $1 million. And then, as we go on, maybe it's the 3rd month, Loida, $3 million. When he comes out again, $5 million. It went all the way to $11 million, and then we changed our apartment, and I could not see him anymore. So what does that mean? Early on, he was already dreaming how to earn 1 million, 3 million, 5 million, up to 11 million. And sure enough, 20 years later, he did. So for all of you, yes, continue dreaming, but put steps on that. And don't be afraid of failure. Failure should be another name for success if you learn from it. Okay? And Mr. Lewis had several failures. In fact, he would always, castigate himself. Oh, I should not have said it. This is what I said, or this is what I did. And my part as his wife was to just eliminate that doubt. Why? Because it happened already. Why will I, oh, that was so stupid. Why would I say that? He was already so hard on himself. So I would say, no, that was the right thing to do. He deserved it. Don't worry about it. And so for you, women and men, okay, if you have a partner, be supportive. Cherish him, cherish her. Lift her up when she is down, because you are a team together. And that's what I thought as his wife. We are a team. He's going for the stars, so I'll be behind him to help. Thank you.
I want Mrs. Lewis to share with you, and I never get tired of hearing this story, how they met. Yes. I mean, we know the business side. Listen to this.
Well, as you can see from my accent, I was not born here. I was born in the Philippines.